The lack of responsibility on the part of leaders is criminal. And hugely irresponsible. It's criminal negligence because we all knew there was going to be a second wave.
This is beyond politics. This is about human lives now. So many lives have gone because of this negligence. It has to be called out. It has to be spoken.
Even 6 months back, when I was reading about vaccines being imported, it made no sense to me actually, because I mean, why would we export vaccines when we are unable to vaccinate our own people?
This is actually to all the celebrities who are probably watching it, to every one of you who have millions and millions of followers. Please start using it to highlight health. Because if you retweet or if you talk about it of someone wanting an oxygen cylinder, someone wanting an oxygen concentrator, someone wanting remdesivir or any of these medications, please retweet, use your platform. It takes nothing. Have your teams do it, fine. But please use that's the basic thing that you can do. I mean, yes, Maldives can wait, but you have to do these things.
Hello everyone, my name is Rudrani and welcome to Speak Easy. Today I'm with a very talented team of Geeli Puchhi. If you're on social media, you know why the film is making noise for all the right reasons. A film that is being considered as a benchmark for representation of different communities on screen right now, with tremendous reviews and love for this short film. Thank you for joining me, Neeraj and Konkona.
Thank you.
We have come a long way when it comes to truly representing different communities on screen. We are making those small steps through films, trying to spread the awareness of how we should be more inclusive. But somewhere I still feel that there is that gap, especially when it comes to, specifically, I think when it comes to the Dalit community. And I think Geeli Puchhi in that way also received a lot of love. So Neeraj, I'm going to start with you on this. What do you think of what I just said? About the fact that probably there has to be more content about which spreads and representing different communities, because it'll give voices to them.
What I feel is that more than the idea of representation, I think it's more important to have sensitivity towards representation.
Absolutely.
And that will only come. See, like I have no issues with, let's say, a Saman filmmaker making Dalit narratives. But it should come from a place of sensitivity, and most importantly is to bring in lived experiences. Let's say tomorrow if I make a queer film, I may not have the I'll have the cishet point of view to it. But what I would want to bring in is, because something that how much ever I read, I will not be able to replicate the lived experience of a person. Hence, it is essential that whenever you make a narrative on marginalization, you have to bring in people from the community, right at the development stage, in the writing, in the making, because that is only way that you can be sensitive. You can have good intentions, but good intentions aren't enough to make representation possible. There has to be sensitivity and education and experiences of people to make it a more wholesome and more truly representative thing.
I'm aware of the fact that you did include in small ways people from the LGBTQI community and the community in having an opinion, and you showed them the film. If I'm not wrong, in the process when you were making it in the writing, and otherwise you tried to fit in such different realities in a 30-minute. I thought is also a risk that really paid off, because you did it so beautifully. But it is tricky, right? Because you have 30 minutes and you put in all of that. I want to understand, how do you check your own bias, because you're trying to do something so sensitive yet important?
That's a very good question. Actually, I went through that problem a lot, in the sense, because you are sensitive towards all the communities, but it may happen that you're wanting to do right by one community, inadvertently you may just make it difficult for the other community. The sympathies may get lopsided. And that was a fear that I did actually go through. And if you're coming from the point of view of bringing multiple identities, multiple narratives in it, the most essential thing was to humanize every character. That is the way that I went forward, to actually make it seem like, because you will find that both the women are wrong, both the women are good, both the women are everything, they're vulnerable. I mean, one example that I would like to give is that how Priya's character is super privileged in terms of her caste location. And she's also someone who's got a job, who's got a family and whatever. But she's also struggling through patriarchy, where she cannot explore her sexuality
Yeah.
to fully. Compare it with Bharti's character. She's been so outcast with her multiple marginalizations that happened to her that she is other to an extent of almost like cancelled out by everyone. So for her, that fear is now gone, and now she can explore her sexuality by ways of autonomy. Even if she's staying alone in a house, that's big autonomy for her to explore her sexuality. So it's very very complex. So it's essential to know that also Priya, she is a caste blind person. She is a person who's oblivious to her privilege. But that's how many people are.
Yeah.
But then we'll have to also tell about how they start. It's like tutoring at home, tutoring at workplace. It's how you're conditioned into thinking that, okay, this is the right way of going about in society. You ought to roam around with certain people. And this is the kind of upbringing, this kind of conditioning that happens, and that's why people become what they become. So, very, very essential to come from a point of humanizing and contextualizing all your characters, not making them black or white. It was very easy to make her a super casteist, super bigot person. You know, you would hate her upright, and my job is done. But that is not what cinema is. Cinema is going to be about characters and how their motivations come.
And Konkona, I'd like to bring you in here and ask you that, of course, I thought your performance was phenomenal. I want to understand how you played this. Again, it's very tricky, right? You are playing a Dalit woman who is also a lesbian, who is also someone who's fighting patriarchy at such different levels at workplace. She's grappling with all of this while she's trying to also become someone and prove a point to herself and others around her. Tell me the complexity of that, because as an actor, you don't want to mess it up when try to do so many things that's going in there.
I found, that patriarchy is a great leveler. In the sense that whether you are, from a dominant caste background or oppressed class, caste, you still have to grab women and men have to grapple with patriarchy anyway. So that nicely complicates the issue and makes it more real and more interesting. What I really liked about this film is that the script, especially, many times what happens is that when we are watching like mainstream culture, there is a certain template of what is normal. So you will really have, for example, a disabled person as a protagonist unless it's about his or her disability. It's like the male experience is what is normalized. Like the data, even statistically, data is often of only male experiences. So that is what is normal. We don't have data about female experiences. So similarly, what is normalized is dominant caste representation. Like then you don't say, oh, why are you going on making films about Brahmins or whatever, upper caste, dominant caste people. So that has shifted in this film. It's not there, which I love about this particular film. And I think that it would be so nice. And I would love to watch films which are not only of just one community, which actually represent different communities. And the thing is that we are all not from any one community. We are all from several different communities, It's like many different circles that we belong to. I was saying earlier, I'm a mother, I'm an Indian, I'm a Bengali, I'm an atheist, I'm a woman. So there are many different director, yeah. And so there's so many different identities I have. So I don't function from only one. I'm functioning from all together. So that is very interesting that this film did, and it kind of really helped me as an actor, because it gives you a very well-rounded character to play, which makes the job easier. The script was also so detailed, so things like, for example, the cake scene when Bharati is serving cake and the tissue. That's in the script. I remember Neeraj saying that, I want that tissue. Where's that dirty tissue? I want it on the tray. And so many people, Neeraj, have noticed the tissue and brought it up,
Yeah.
So I'm always like, it's in the script, So all this has been thought through, and everything that you see on the frame is like a decision that has been taken by Neeraj and the team. And all of that together kind of really helps to bring out the complexities of both these characters, which in turn really help the actor, I think.
Tell me, what are the few things that you would like to suggest, or that comes to your mind when you talk to content makers or creators or actors and directors who want to really focus on the subject of representing screen different communities on screen, because we have done our mistakes in the past, and we want to move on and make them right?
Actually, representation is such that, I've actually earlier spoken. I'm trying to do a lot in terms of, see, representation is not just for being woke. You have to feel it. You have to feel the need of it. For instance, like, I'll give you an example of how it happens in, let's say, just an AD team. In a film's AD team, like, if you have all boys, okay, let's say, just for the sake of this thing, they'll hire an intern as a female. So what happens is that the girl will be like, she's already feeling the burden of being by herself, and also hierarchically down. The boys will start making fun. Oh, you don't know this. The casual sexism comes in. And this is just one of the examples of why you need to have representation, because it's like, so I've always mandated having 50% women, and not just like token ki bhai, it has to be in a power position. You can't just give interns. Sadly, it's not happened much with the cinematography and the lighting department, because the job is such. But I'm hoping that we'll bring in more. That, and also with respect to various communities, be it Muslim or LGBTQI or Dalit, we and here's the thing, I'm not saying compromise on your talent, compromise on what you want. I'm saying try to find people from these communities. You don't find them, yes, go to your comfort, go to people where you find it easily. I'm saying make an effort to find people. You cannot, you can't just say that, okay, there aren't enough people. Yes, find people, but there are some realities that are difficult. So, like, if for people who want to make these kind of narratives, like, at least I can speak about Dalit narratives, is that please reach out to the community people. If you can't, then come and ask me. We can have a discussion. I can probably talk about some suggestions as to how do we bring in. I know people who I can bring on board to help you uh, concretize your narrative. So basically, the thing is that for representation, it is a mindset that has to come. It cannot come from a point of view of, oh, it's so work to do. America is doing it. No, it has to come from a place of genuine sensitivity, and it should feel necessary. It should be, what the America is trying to do is the one with Francis McDormand is done, the inclusion rider.
Yeah.
That is so essential. But I mean, it's a long way for us to do that. But to, in fact, come into place of contracts where, you have to have a certain number of people. I mean, if big actors start doing it in India, maybe it will start someday, I hope.
What are your views on this, Konkona?
To begin with, we have to make ourselves more aware, all of us. And we have to, I feel like if we're only concentrating on one kind of person and one kind of community or one kind of caste or one religion or one gender, we're telling incomplete stories. We're not telling a proper complete story in any case. So we have so much to gain from telling stories where all of these things are taken into consideration, and it can't come from one person alone. Of course, it's great if it comes from the director, because the director has certain power, is able to take certain decisions, but it has to come from of course, the director. It's great if people in powerful positions like actors have these inclusion writers, like you said, or producers specifically. Producers, financiers, who kind of have this in mind and want to tell these stories, want to include people in the crew from different communities. It has to come from audiences as well, that we want to see such stories, that they're willing to, you have to appreciate it, you have to pay for it, you have to demand it, as an audience. So for all of this to happen, all of us have to become aware. And one of the best ways of becoming aware is through stories and through emotions and through storytelling. I mean, we're not all going to read books and facts and statistics, because it doesn't really, penetrate. Only when you feel it emotionally that you can actually become aware. So it comes from, also, I think, respect and tolerance for other ways of being, and having the imagination and the empathy to include all those stories.
There are so many stereotypes that have already been propagated in cinema, some in real life that continue to be, right? There are stereotypes for forever. We've really been demeaning towards homosexuals on screen. We've cracked filthy jokes, and now we are trying to do better. Also, there is a very stereotypical way of saying that lesbians have to be more masculine, they're not supposed to be feminine. I want to know, in any way, while you all were collaborating, how were you trying to make sure that we should not sort of seep into the stereotype? Of course, I understand, but you're sometimes not even aware of that direction that you're going till someone points you out or something. And how important was that for you, of course, as an actor?
No, I in any case, I hate stereotypes because mainly because it's very boring. Because and incomplete. It's very one has, if it's a stereotype, one has already seen it. It's established. There's nothing new. It's not original, and it doesn't even ring true. So I've actually never found the kind of jokes you mentioned. I've never found it funny. I actually don't even think it's funny. And I'm okay with a little bit of political incorrectness for the sake of humor, but I just don't actually find it funny. So now, Bharti, I feel like I know so many people like that. I have encountered so many people like there are so many women I've encountered like this. For me, in that sense, it became quite real for me because I could immediately, I had people in mind immediately. Not just, of course, I had, as I mentioned, I think in the previous interview, a film called Below Her Mouth, Erica Linder, who's a fantastic actress. It's a lesbian love story, but also I had real people in my own life, whether it's friends or people I've worked with, etc. People I've encountered who are like Bharti. So that I think really helped me because those are people I knew as individuals. And the other thing is that, how a person dresses or how a person talks is a very surface thing.
Yeah.
So it's only those first 5-10 minutes. Because then, somebody said this, I've forgotten who, that, you, after the first 5 minutes, you don't see a person, you feel a person. So it was getting to the heart of the character. And for that, I think, I was very lucky to have the script, which was so kind of well fleshed out, well-rounded, and very detailed, that Bharti felt like a real person to me. And I had real people in mind who I could imagine in this circumstance. So I think that's what helped me.
She's one time punching people on their faces, but at the same time, she's sitting alone crying, vulnerable.
Correct.
So even that is also there, that she's not uber masculine or she's playing a stereotype, but she's also a vulnerable person. That's why I think humanizes her more.
That's how you kept in check, right? That's how you tell yourself also.
I also feel like, if a person is, for example, very angry, if a character is very angry, you cannot in any case show them continuously angry because then you have no contrast and you never see them in any other way. So even if a person is like very angry or very jealous or, very strong or whatever, you have to see the other parts of it, It's not like, Bharti never smiles. She does a couple of times, and that is what breaks her heart, Or if she's, when she's fragile, because you've seen her as very strong. We only understand things through contrast, I think,
When you're formulating, like, how do you end a story that started really good, mid was really good, and how do you make sure the audience takes back home? How do you do that?
The climax, actually writing, it came from a point where, I made that intercut happen because I thought that there's got to be a crescendo to the chain of events, for it to have that climax per se. And also it was essential. See, I'll be honest with you, I had some issue with it because I felt that I've done that in Jews, where she picks up this thing. And then people will be like, okay, he can't think of anything new. He's just doing the same thing over and over.
You did think that?
I did. I actually thought of it while writing also. And I felt, actually, there's another scene afterward, which I removed it. It's a long story. I don't want to bore you with that. But then I felt that at the moment, if it organically feels that, and if I do get the criticism of being repetitive, I'll be okay with it. I'll be fine because it organically feels like that's the best point to end the film where she just sits. I feel that's the best end. So it's okay. For the film, it works. So I'm okay to take the criticism.
And that steel cup it's all written in the script.
Yeah.
These are all very deliberate choices. And the thing is, this is happening in people's households. Sorry to butt in. It's happening in people's households all the time. We don't realize that it comes from untouchability. It comes from caste prejudice. This thing of having separate utensils
for your health,
for health,
for
staff, for service people, etc., is coming from untouchability. Why? Because it makes no scientific sense. Why would you have a separate vessel when we have soap and water that is dispelling coronavirus? You know what I mean? So,
and on that note,
it has masqueraded as class over the years, and that's how it is, because class is easier to propagate and acknowledge.
And right now we're in the middle of pandemic, and I cannot not go by mentioning of the situation that we are in right now when it comes to healthcare, We are grappling with it in every sense. What do you think about it? Because I'm talking to people who have actually gone out there and voiced out their opinions whenever they saw wrong happening or whenever you thought our country was suffering.
I mean, of course, to begin with, we have to wear masks. We have to be double masking at this point, because that's the latest that I have come across, that we have to be double masking. We have to stay at home. We have to get the numbers down. The lack of responsibility on the part of leaders is criminal. It's and hugely irresponsible. It's criminal negligence, because we all knew there was going to be a second wave. There is absolutely no excuse for being unprepared for a second wave. Even 6 months back, when I was reading about vaccines being imported, it made no sense to me, actually, because I mean, why would we export vaccines when we are unable to vaccinate our own people? So I just feel that and to be campaigning and for elections is just the height of irresponsibility. Right now, when the need of the hour is actually just to provide basic healthcare to so many people. In any case, the healthcare system in this country is really, how can I not use an expletive, is abysmal. In any case, it always was. It's just that, for a certain section of moneyed or elite people, one always had contacts, so one was able to get by, but it was in any case abysmal. And all that has just kind of been brought to the fore even more so. So I just think that people need to take responsibility and provide basic healthcare and awareness for people and get vaccines, oxygen. Everything is running out. Vaccines, oxygen, medicines, testing. These are basic things which need to be, everything else can take a backseat, and everybody has to come together to ensure that this reaches the people.
I'd say let's call out the monumental hypocrisy of our leaders for talking about wearing masks and all these protocols. You say it in the day, and the next hour we see them rallies. They're doing rallies, inviting thousands and thousands of people, and having religious congregations, and not seeing the divide, and people also not seeing the hypocrisy in it. Please, I mean, this is beyond politics. This is about human lives now. So many lives have gone because of this negligence. It has to be called out. It has to be spoken. I mean, I'm actually going through a lot of anxiety on Twitter, because every second tweet, or actually now every single tweet, is all about cry for help. And also, this is actually to all the celebrities who are probably watching it, to every one of you who have millions and millions of followers. Please start using it to highlight help. Because if you retweet or if you talk about it of someone wanting an oxygen cylinder, someone wanting an oxygen concentrator, someone wanting remdesivir, or any of these medications, please retweet. Use your platform. It takes nothing. Have your teams do it. Fine, but please use your. That's the basic thing that you can do. I mean, yes, Maldives can wait, but you have to do these things.
Thank you so much. And would like to end it by saying, for everybody who's watching, I hope you're safe and healthy and you're following our protocols. And this discussion that we had is important. Thank you so much. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Lots of love. Bye.